in this example, we're going to discuss the concept of capital rationing and how managers can deal with capital rationing. So let's first start with the definition. Sometimes corporations will limit how much money they can spend or they're willing to spend to expand the company, to buy new assets. So management will set a budget. In this case, management says we're only going to spend $11 million. Now what we have, and I need to resort these so I get my story straight here. I sorted them in the incorrect way. We have 7 projects. Each project, here is the investment for each project. Here is the internal rate of return for each project. So what we can get from these projects then is we need to have an understanding of, what is essentially the value of these projects. How can we place them in any kind of an order so that we understand exactly how the projects are going to filter out? How can we choose the best of all of these? So before we go any further, I want to copy these projects over here to the other file over here, and we need to understand something about net present values. So here's 500,000 is the net present value for this one. 400,000 is here. Then we go 300,000, 300,000, then 100,000, and we're going to copy that down. So here's the net present values of these 7 projects, and here's the internal rate of returns for the projects. Again, back to our story, management only wants to spend $11 million. So the discount rate is 14%. So let's rank these projects. Let's take these projects, and all you need to do is to highlight the projects themselves. We're going to do a data sort. So you go data, sort, and we want to sort by project, by row D, the internal rate of return. Now if you click on this, we can say my data has headers, and it changes. So we want to go by the internal rate of return. So it's going to rank from smallest to largest is the default. We want to go from largest to smallest, change that, and then say OK. So in this case, we can see what? That project F has the highest internal rate of return, and it's going to ultimately cost us $2.5 million. Company's only going to be permitted $11 million. Now even the lowest of these projects has an internal rate of return that's greater than the discount rate. So the optimal capital budget for this company is to spend all of this money and spend $13.8 million. That's the optimal capital budget. Now, if we had another project, let's put a project H in here, right? Project H costs, let's just make it something small, costs $50,000. But project H had an internal rate of return of 12%. We would see the what? The 12% is less than that. So 13.8 is still our optimal. We wouldn't want to do this project because 12 is less than 14. If we do the exact same thing over here, let's sort these by net present values. Oops, I'm sorry, you got to take in the labels. Sort these by net present value. So, go here, sort. Now this case, header has values. We want to go by net present value. Click on OK. So now we have sorted. I'm sorry, guess what I did? I did exactly what I told you not to do. That is, we have to sort going the opposite direction. We need to go from biggest to smallest because obviously we're going to start with the best projects and work our way down. Now in this case, again, the optimal capital budget is $13.8 million because all of these are positive projects, but the company only wants to spend $11 million. So they're going to do projects, these projects here, A, B, C, D, F, G. They're going to do these projects because that's going to give them the maximum amount of they'll go A through E, excuse me, and they won't spend over 11 million. But over here, they're going to do projects F, E, G, C, B, and they're not going to be able to do A because that internal rate of return is lower. So we're only going to spend 7.3 million here, but over here, net present value wise, we would spend 10 million. So again, the purpose of this is to show how management would ultimately have to prioritize projects. They can prioritize them based on internal rate of return or net present value, whichever technique they want. But one of the last things to kind of take away from this is that any capital rationing is suboptimal. That is, we're not going to be maximizing the value of the company if we limit companies' ability to spend dollars. For large corporations, gathering money is not an issue. Gathering another $2 million for this company, or $2.8 million, is not an issue. Most large companies could do that readily. Very small companies, though, do have trouble raising cash. So capital rationing is a very real scenario that most small business owners deal with on a constant basis because they have such limited resources for expansion. So hopefully this capital rationing gives you a little bit of an idea of the decision-making process, especially for smaller corporations.